District 6 supervisors. Folks, we spent a lot of time earlier talking about compassionate care, and she's pretty well versed on it.
That dinner ended, and so I appreciate you all still being here on a really nice and warm evening here in the Mission. So it's really been my honor to represent San Francisco, but in particular District 6, South of Market, Treasure Island, and the Tenderloin.
Yay!
Hello!
I love the Tenderloin.
You know, it's a really, and you all know it because you live in it as I do. It's a super diverse district. And you also may know I represent the poorest residents of San Francisco, and I also represent some of the most affluent as well. But it's also a super diverse district, tons of different communities, whether it's Chinese, Central American, Vietnamese, Filipino, Arabic, Russian. We just have a lot of pockets throughout our district that I really get the pleasure to work with. A lot of my work has really been around a lot of the development that's happening in San Francisco and ensuring that we are building more affordable housing, that we're building more parks and open space, so we're creating healthy neighborhoods, and also making sure that our streets are safe. And that's a lot of different things. That's part of it is working with our different organizations that help keep our streets safer. Some of that might mean supporting small businesses that are active eyes on the street, that are good businesses and kind of activate the neighborhoods. And so that's been some of my work. Over the last 4 years. And I just want to thank you because when I ran 4 years ago, not a lot of people supported me. AxisOfLove was one of the very few groups that endorsed me and worked on my campaign. So I want to thank you so much for your support. Thank you. Now 4 years later, of course, everyone's supporting my reelect campaign, but I never forget the people that were with me from the very beginning. So I really appreciate it. So this November, there's a lot of really important ballot measures. I'm also up for re-election, but we want to make sure that District 6 comes out and vote. We have one of the lowest voter turnouts in the city, us and the Bayview.
Really?
Yep, we have the lowest voter turnout in the city. And let me tell you, people at City Hall watch that, right? And so, when they talk about, we're going to invest dollars in parks here, we're going to invest in this here, they do look at how the city votes. And so it's important that we get our district out, registered, A, and B, voting. We have a number of measures on the ballot. There are a couple that I'm really focused on. There's one that's really easy to remember, CJK. And the reason why it's easy for us to remember is we like to say see Jane Kim run. CJK run. Yeah, that's right. So PropG is our children's fund. It goes to our schools, our after-school programs, and also our transitional age youth. These are youth that are coming out of our foster care system, our homeless shelter system. So these are dollars for them, so we want people to support PropG. That's not taxes, that's just a general fund set aside. 2J, raise the minimum wage, the fight for 15. We're gonna raise here in San Francisco. We will have the strongest and most progressive minimum wage in the country. We all read about Seattle, right? But Seattle has tip credit, healthcare credit. We don't have any of that. You will be taking those dollars home with you, and you will get healthcare, and you will get your tips, right? So we're going to pass that in November, and then K is our policy statement on increasing affordable housing for San Francisco. Yeah. In my rhyme, but is PropG. Yep. We got to stop those speculators that are buying our buildings and flipping them and evicting everyone in them. So we lost the fight in Sacramento, although many of you came out to stop Ellis Act evictions. We lost that fight, but instead we're going to tax those speculators 25%. So you'll think everyone, because you're not going to make as much money as you thought you were.
Ha ha.
That's different. So yes on G, I'm really worried that G is not going to pass because there's a ton of money. They're spending $1 million against it. I'm getting a mailer every week that has misinformation on it. So in PropG, we're demanding that the city invest their own money in rehabbing and preserving existing buildings. So this isn't constructing new housing, which is affordable but still too expensive for many of our residents, right? But it means actually going into our hotels and rehabbing them and purchasing them also from speculative landlords too. But the other thing too, I mean, the city attorney's office finally sued the Decor family. The Decor family owns Civic Center Hotel. They own the Page Hotel. Those are just some examples of some of our worst SRO hotels in the city. We are taking them on. We have sued them. We are demanding that they fix up all the department building inspection violations and bringing their buildings up to code, and also telling DPH to stop giving money to these landlords that put their residents into bed-bug infested, non-elevator working, just like buildings that are just in terrible shape. Because the city funds a lot of these buildings.
Oh, I know. And not only does the city fund them, but the city also has partnerships with groups like the NBC and all these other folks that aren't necessarily helpful either. In some realms, it sort of feels like, I don't know, like poverty pimping, like they're taking people's whole disability checks, not doing anything when we say, hey, we've got a next door neighbor that, maybe is using speed or something because they never turn their stereo off ever. Things like that. But we're not being heard.
Yeah. Rehab fund. So it's hard because a lot of those buildings aren't owned by the city. It's not like public housing where we do own those elevators and we have to fix them. A lot of these elevators are owned by private landlords, and frankly, they can afford it. Most of them can, not all of them can. So instead, we're going to try to incentivize these landlords to fix up their elevators. So we're going to have a low-interest loan program where we're going to loan out dollars, but those landlords will have to pay it back over time so we can keep that fund revolving and going and fix as many elevators as quickly as possible. But if you let us know of specific buildings that we need to be working on, please let me know. I saw the gentleman here in front of me raising his hand, and then I'll go this way. I saw you earlier, but I know you were. Hi.
Hi. Just a brief question. What do you think of the salt street tax?
Soda tax?
Yeah, the soda tax.
Yeah, so I'm not actively supporting or opposing it, but I did not vote for it when it came to the Board of Supervisors a month ago. I know some folks here are definitely supporting it. I know that the money goes to good things. What I'm really worried about, it's a small tax, 2 cents per ounce, but for folks on fixed income, you're not going to make more money after we pass this tax. And I know that it's to reduce the consumption of soda. I think that that's really important, and I hope people do drink less soda in this room because it is not good for us. And I don't drink any soda, by the way.
I don't either.
I just don't know if that's the best way to go about doing it. I would rather subsidize nutritious food and make that cheaper than tax, food that's bad for us. But it's a complicated issue. It really is. And I know good people that are supporting it and good people that are opposing it. I'm just going to go, okay.
Yeah, so I was going to kind of jump on what she said. I actually work in social service, and I've been working for 2 or 3 of the collaboratives in the city, SRO collaboratives.
Okay.
And from what I find out from where I live and the groups that I go to, basically there's no one in control. In my building, I'm in one of the 30% buildings in San Francisco. Basically, they tell us, the hell with you, you're at 30%, you should be happy. Okay? I'm in a building that's historical. Our elevator goes out every other month.
What's your building?
The Allen. Okay. The Patels run it, and basically our manager hides behind the hotels, the Patels, but she goes to the Philippines every 3 months.
Okay.
Okay. So what I'm trying to find out, like Shane was saying, after actually working at 2 of the 3 collaboratives, what I'm finding out is all the laws and even the board are pretty much skewered in the owners and the managers' pocket. I mean, we have people, including myself, that get packages, that are open, and the landlord tells me, well, if you didn't say nothing about it when it was open, don't worry about it. So I told her, well, maybe I should just go to the Postmaster General. And she said, the hell with it, go. And when I went to him, now she's bugging me because now he's all over the button. Because she is responsible for our packaging, you know?
Yeah.
And I have a lot of people in my building now. I'm a politician's son. I'm always good to speak, okay? But there are a lot of people in my building that are really getting burnt, you know, people with mental disabilities or even physical disabilities. Maybe they go out once a month to cash their check. They're stuck. And there doesn't seem to be a board. Delta Protective Services doesn't want to deal with it. The RIN board doesn't seem to want to deal with it. And I've gone to the SRO board meetings, but unfortunately, they can't even seem to keep an SRO resident on their board.
On the task force?
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
So do you have a suggestion? And who do we go to? Because the bottom line is, you know, we're just spinning, at least I feel I'm spinning my wheels. I quote the law, but then they tell me, well, that's not in your case, it doesn't work.
Yeah, so the elevator issue is tricky only because it's state law, so we actually can't even enforce that. But if you're having DBI issues, call me, or Ivy or Sunny who's here. We'll call James, we'll call the DBI inspector. We know the DBI inspector in the Tenderloin and Sema. We'll make sure that they get there, and then they actually file this notice as a violation, and we follow up with it. I agree, the city has not done a good job in this area. We have not done a good job in this area. And that's partially, you know, I need to take ownership of that as well.